Hello again. So now I want to talk briefly about um, what can happen to a rock. We see them as they are now. How did they get there? And then are they static? And so the quick answer is, of course, well, they got there through lots of different processes, and depending on if it's metamorphic, igneous, or sedimentary, that can tell you how it came into be. But the story of a rock is unique. Every rock is different, kind of like people. How it got to where it is and where it's headed is always going to be a little bit different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my graphic. This is kind of like the key. You can pause here if you like and fill in your graphic. But I like to tell this as a story. So let's imagine for just a second that there is this little mineral, and her name's Carla, Carla calcite. Now, Carla is calcite. She is just like all the other calcites that are out there, but she starts her life in the shell of a sea creature. The sea creature lived 300 million years ago, let's say. In the blink of an eye, in the geologic, not even a blink, just not even there. In the geologic blink of an eye, the sea creature lived out its life, and Carla, along with the other minerals that were in that shell, settled down to the bottom of the ocean floor. So we'll kind of start here at sediment. Over long periods of time, millions of years, more and more of these seashells piled up on top of Carla until eventually they were compacted and cemented into a sedimentary rock called limestone. But it didn't stop there. Carla and the rest of her little calcite buddies in this limestone formation were subjected to intense heat and pressure, um, let's say from the intrusion of magma, so some contact metamorphosis. Um, this heat and this heat, especially and pressure, changed Carla into a new type of rock, metamorphic rock called marble. One day, Carla heard a little chink, 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 and before she knew it, she was dragged out of her resting place along with all the rest of the marble into this huge block that was delivered to an artist, a sculptor. The sculptor sculpted sculpted Carla along with all of her buddies into the statue of Minerva, the Roman goddess of wisdom. And there she stayed for 2,000 years. But she was subjected to new things now. She was subjected to freezing cold and blistering heat and water, slightly acidic water as well, acid rain. And eventually, little Carla popped off of Minerva and fell to the ground, where she was washed into a local water source. And currents carried little Carla all the way into the ocean. So now she's been eroded and deposited as sediment. And now, let's say little Carla on the bottom of the ocean floor gets piled up with some other minerals that eventually form into a new sedimentary rock. That sedimentary rock was subjected to melting. Maybe she was pushed back into the mantle as part of a subduction event. And so she melts into this molten material. And let's say that Carla was then spit out of a volcano very rapidly. And so she cooled and crystallized into a new igneous rock. This igneous rock was then eroded and deposited as sediment that was subjected to compaction, cementation, and eventually heat pressure. She becomes a metamorphic rock, and so on and so on and so on. So this is one of those stories that just really never ends. So the rock cycle is just a way of looking at the progression of rocks as they move throughout their life, and there is no one perfect cycle. Rocks can and will continually be subjected to different conditions, changing them from one type to another. So the main points of the graphic organizer that I want to draw your attention to, of course, are the three rock types: metamorphic, igneous, sedimentary. Each of those rock types has a way that it's formed: metamorphic through heat and pressure, igneous rocks through the cooling and crystallization of magma or lava, multi-material, and then for sedimentary rock, erosion and deposition of that sediment, and then compaction and cementation into a sedimentary rock. So the point is that rocks are continually moving and progressing through this cycle, that they are constantly being changed from one type to another. You can describe a rock in terms of where it started or even where it's headed, and especially where it is right now. But just please understand that they are not static, that they are continually changing. Maybe not on our life scales, in our lifetimes, but rocks are continually progressing. Hope this makes sense for you. If you have any questions, please let me know.